It is time for the end of an era, so join me here today as we start our farewell. And what better way to say goodbye than to say goodbye with Godzilla 1975? That's right, what's up everybody, D-Man back, and today we're going to be doing my review for Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla 1975 for Terror of Mechagodzilla, aka the swan song to the Showa series and the final goodbye to the first era of Godzilla. I thought it was a fitting one. Hey, before you freak out, no, I know that kind of sounds worse than it might be. I'm moving, so this is all going bye-bye. By the time you see this video, I will have been fully moved already for a minute. Obviously, I moved a while ago, if you haven't noticed, but I had a few of these reviews that I never released to you guys from the final era in the house, so I wanted to get those out to you guys. There were just simply other things that I was like, this is probably more pressing. That's why these got pushed back. But enjoy. Goodbye. But as I kick off my final reviews here in this setup and in this era of the channel, I wanted to take a look at Godzilla 1975 from Bandai Movie Monster Series because, first of all, it's just one of my favorite Godzillas, and also it is the finale to the Showa series, so it felt very fitting to me. I got this Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla from the Godzilla Store Tokyo while I was visiting America, and so I want to check him out and talk about it. As I said when I reviewed the Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla 1964, this was one of my favorite Godzilla suits for so many years of my life. In my childhood, the 1974 suit was one of my faves. It was maybe my second fave, right up there with the 1962 suit. I don't know why, I really loved the Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla suit, in particular that shot of his head rising up over the hill. But over time, it was pointed out to me that the 1975 one just is a little angrier in its face and its expression, even though it's basically the same exact suit. It just looks a little angrier, and so I think I might like the 1975 one more. Either way, it is one of my most iconic childhood Godzillas, so I'm excited to review this guy. These Bandai Movie Monster Series, they don't come in packaging, they just have these little tags, and because I did get it from Godzilla Store, I am keeping the tag on. The tag features Godzilla 75, standing right there looking nice and mean, pretty epic, I like it. That's a good photo of him, actually a really good picture showing off his front face and body. This is technically the MechaGoji, which started in 1973 and then went through 1975, although this iteration of it is called the MechaGoji. And really the biggest difference between him and the 1974 is just that he's got a little meaner eyebrows. I love the sculpt. First of all, just the posing overall looks fantastic. I love the placement of the arms, the way that he's kind of got them held up close to his body. That's just like the way Godzilla stood and moved in that movie. Godzilla had a very stiff posture compared to the way Nakajima would play him with the arms kind of moving around a little more loose form. I liked the kind of tightness of the 75 Godzilla. It was pretty cool. This figure does a good job showing off that posture. I also really like the slight curve to the tail. I always love curves in the tail. This could be more exaggerated and I'd still love it even more, but I like the slight curve to the tail. As for the figure itself, Bandai Movie Monster Series, they just know what they're doing. The face sculpt looks wonderful. He captures the likeness of 75's Godzilla so perfectly. I really love it. He's got those very strong eyebrows, the very puffy cheeks, just like 1964's Godzilla that I really love. They've done a really good job with the curve on the bottom lip, which I always loved in this suit as well. The teeth look good, the tongue looks good, the eyes look pretty good. I like that cute little nose. On the top of his head, you've got his spines going down into the back. By 1975, I kind of feel like Godzilla's dorsal spines became a little malshapen, like they were just a little oddly shaped. Like they didn't have the level of attention to detail that some of the earlier ones did, like 1962 for instance. They just didn't have as strong of an impression and they don't have as strong of a silhouette, but this captures them very well. In particular, they've got these two 54 inspired spines that they've done very well. They look just like in the movie. That looks wonderful. I also like the way it goes down onto the tail with the one layer of spines on the tail, which was very common for the 70s Godzillas, kind of simplifying the suit over time, and you can see that here. The skin texturing across the whole body looks really wonderful and it's very consistent overall. It just looks really good. I also love that they've textured the dorsal spines themselves. Godzilla's arms look great. They've got some muscles in them, which is awesome, and then getting onto the hands and the fingers, they look pretty good, although they are kind of webbed together in ways that they shouldn't be, because this is a figure made for kids. I love that there's creases on Godzilla's belly and on his sides where there would be creases in the suit. I also love the way they've done the legs with the puffy knees, and on the back of the legs you can see that puffy knee kind of carries over where the rubber's bunched up on the suit. I love when they make make the figures that accurate to the suits themselves. To add little imperfections of the suits onto the toys is just awesome. Across Godzilla's bottom here, you've got the really nice sectioned out tail that tapers out towards the end, but you've also got the sections on the bottom, the very different texture on the bottom, which looks really good. Bottom of the feet are smooth, and there is unfortunately a logo here, which is distracting, but you're not really gonna see that when he's standing up straight, are you? What a wonderful sculpt. As for the paint job, I think they've done an amazing job. He's got a dark blackish gray body overall, just like in the movie. That looks absolutely accurate. Unfortunately, they did not paint the fingers and toenails that kind of brownish color that they were in the film, so that could have been improved upon. Same way that the spines, while they look really nice, very silver, and they pop very well, they do on the actual suit in the movie go from the skin tone to the silver. So they could be the two-toned spines. That would look really good, and I'm kind of disappointed they didn't do that. Also, for some reason, the last two spines on the tip of the tail are not painted either. The eyes look great, painted just like in the movie with the white eyes with the black pupils. I like the pink tongue, that looks wonderful, and then the white teeth look great. They've also added this greenish color across the body for highlights to give accents to the sculpt, which I think works really, really well. As for articulation, the tail can't turn, but it is a soft vinyl plastic, which means you can bend and flex it, which is awesome. The legs can spin all the way around, and so can the arms. They can spin all the way around as well. So can the head. The head can twist around and spin and spin and spin. 5 points of articulation, which is the standard for a Bandai Movie Monster Series figure. Wonderful. As I'm sure you guys have pointed out, this is the classic Bandai Godzilla 1968 from Destroy All Monsters, and this is a Bandai US, I believe. So here he is next to Godzilla 1975. He's a little taller and a little more imposing than that 1975 Godzilla. Very different approaches to the suit. The Nakajima Godzilla looked a little more mean. He had a bit longer of a face, although on the toys, the 75 one actually looks a little more menacing in his face overall. Just a little bit of a different approach to making these figures, and I do think they look great together. I know this is the 1975 Godzilla, but I don't own a Titanosaurus, so I figured I'd bust out the, I believe this is also Bandai US, King Caesar. There they are next to each other, two buddies, the iconic duo who really never got that much time to shine, but there they are, about the same size, looking great next to each other. I love it. And here's his enemy, MechaGodzilla. My MechaGodzilla is currently busting out of the skin of a Godzilla. That's what I did with the Evolving Godzilla, Godzilla Kong the New Empire figure, that bonus one that I bought. That's what I've done with the skin. I put it around MechaGodzilla so that he can burst through it, and there's Godzilla standing up against his opponent, looking pretty epic. Ironically, getting MechaGodzilla in and out of the rubber Godzilla suit is actually less of a hassle than getting the real evolved Godzilla in and out of it. So there you can see them standing off next to each other, and they look awesome, about the same size, and just a great pairing. I believe this is the MechaGodzilla 74, however, so maybe I'll have to try and track down a MechaGodzilla 75. I love that scene where Godzilla flips out of the dirt. That's just great. I also love how Godzilla is such a boxer by the 70s. Just an awesome pairing right here. And then finally, because this is the last show of Godzilla, I figured out I'd get the first Heisei Godzilla, which the only one that I own is the Neca Godzilla 1984 original release. And there they are, standing off against one another. About the same size, similar paint jobs, but very different styles of figures. And they look great. I am so glad to have a Bandai Movie Monster Series version of one of my favorite Godzillas. I do think he justifies his existence on the grounds that this is a accessible release of one of my favorite Godzilla suits, and one that I tried so hard to track down as a kid and just could never get my hands on. So I'm just so glad it exists and is easy to get now. I'm sure you can find it on Amazon or eBay or Godzilla Store Shop US or anywhere like that. That's all good stuff. Well, I do think they could have taken the paint a little further, painted the fingernails and toenails, tip of the tail spines, and then also given him the two-tone spines. I think other than that, this is a perfect figure, which means I'm gonna give this guy a 9 out of 10. While I do think that they could have improved those tiny little details, on the whole, this is just absolutely awesome, and I love it. Do you have the Bandai Godzilla 1975? And if so, comment below and let me know what you think of it. Also, what are your thoughts on the Godzilla 1975 suit, and how do you think it stacks up against the 1973 suit and the 1974 suit? As always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. It is because of the support of the patrons on Patreon that I'm able to make videos like this, reviewing figures like this for you guys, so big thank you to the patrons. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below, where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next time for the next one. D-Man out.